Bowser, Ganon, EA. These villains of the video gaming world have killed players and their dreams millions of times over the years, but pretty much all of those kills are virtual. That is nothing in comparison to Evil Otto, a video game antagonist who, unlike the others, has a real-life kill count. And the stories behind those kills are guaranteed to surprise you. It's 1980. The Rubik's Cube was just released. The US is boycotting the Olympics, and you are about to watch The Empire Strikes Back in theaters for the first time. But before you do, you decide to head down to Aladdin's castle for a quick arcade session. There, he stands before you, taunting you with his lifeless robotic voice and unflinching maniacal smile. Evil Otto. An invincible madman behind an endless robot army, bent on destroying any humanoid in his presence. Oh yeah, he was also the main antagonist of the classic 1980s arcade game Berserk. For those of you who are not familiar with the game, you're dropped into an electrified maze on the planet Mazion. There it is kill or be killed as you are being chased and shot at by robots who are controlled by Evil Otto. The goal is to kill as many robots as possible and escape each room before Evil Otto himself, who is invincible and can pass through walls, comes to destroy you himself. Part maze game, part shooter, the game was a massive success, partially because of its speech chip that allowed it to directly taunt the player with hyper-realistic digitized voices.
Intruder alert, intruder alert.
Shoot the humanoid.
Attack the humanoid. Chicken fight like a robot.
Wow, it's like Evil Otto is in the room with me right now. And just like in real life, your goal is to rack up as many points as possible before your inevitable death. Okay, well, it's not exactly like real life for most people, but it was basically what happened to poor young Peter Bukowski on April 3rd, 1982. He was an 18-year-old from South Holland, Illinois, and he was in decent shape with no known health issues. And like most 18-year-olds, he was obsessed with gaming, with a special penchant towards Berserk. He played the game every chance he could get at Friar Tuck Game Room, an arcade that was made in the style of a medieval inn. That day in particular, he had trudged through 4 miles of snow, chugged a soda to quench his thirst and regain his energy, and then arrived at the arcade at approximately 8 p.m. There he played 2 games of Berserk, with both of them attaining high scores, but when he started his 3rd game on a new machine at 8:30 p.m., he dropped dead of a heart attack. Evil Otto had claimed his first victim. Was it his need to destroy all humanoids? Was it a bout of jealousy over being left for a newer, sexier Evil Otto? Or are you going to believe the liberal media, and by liberal media I mean the coroner's report, that said the heart attack was due to being triggered from the stress of the day's activities, in addition to inflammation and scar tissue that was already present on his heart that had been there for at least 2 weeks prior to the event, which was basically turning his heart into a ticking time bomb? No one could possibly know, especially if you ignore his shortness of breath that was going on that day and prior to the day's events. Now, this isn't the only death rumored to be caused by Evil Otto, and according to urban legends, he also ended up killing 2 other players shortly afterwards. The first one you should absolutely believe, as long as you're a big fan of conspiracy theories, and also don't care about facts or details of the story not making any sense. This easily refutable story involves a friend of Bukowski, Jeff Daly, who died 6 months later, again of a heart attack after playing the same game for 4 hours and attaining the score of 16,660 points, a cursed and evil score containing the number of the beast, 666. All you have to do to believe this is ignore the fact that no person by that name was found in the death records at the time, and that it's impossible to play the game in 4 hours and attain a score as low as 16,660, as most players will get that score in 25 minutes or less. But That was not all Evil Otto had in store in terms of real-world vengeance. There was a third death that was reportedly caused by him and is actually real and quite a bit more horrifying. According to the story, Pedro Roberts stabbed Edward Clark Jr. outside of a parking lot after the two got into an altercation after playing the same Berserk machine that Bukowski died playing. Some say that the argument began over quarters being used as a way of saving games, with Clark apparently taking a quarter someone had left on a machine to claim that they wanted to play next, and then used it himself to play the game. Then Roberts falsely claimed that the quarter used was his. This started an argument that led to the two being kicked out of the arcade, with the attendant making sure that the two left 10 minutes apart for safety concerns, with Pedro leaving first and Edward afterwards. Edward was warned to leave by traveling in the opposite direction of Pedro for his own safety, but he arrogantly ignored this advice. Little did he know that Pedro was lying in wait, hiding in an alleyway close by until he spotted Clark. Then he ran across the parking lot and stabbed him in the chest with a knife. Clark refused to be taken to a hospital, thinking that he wasn't mortally injured, but he ended up dying shortly after in the back seat of his friend's car due to a puncture wound to the heart. Pedro Roberts was later convicted of murder. Now, to be fair, there are some conflicting reports on the exact details of what happened that night, but we do know for sure that it happened at the same Friar Tuck's game room that Bukowski died at, and that Clark died after an altercation with Roberts. The effect that Evil Otto had on all this, we can only speculate. But it's my firm belief that he was the puppet master behind the whole ordeal. He is evil after all, and his lust to kill all humanoids has likely transgressed the limitations of the virtual world, and his icy, dead smile has found a way to pierce both the hearts and minds of our own. Let's pray that his bloodlust has finally been satiated for now. Well, that's it for today's uplifting episode. I'm Frank Chopatini with Servetti Software, and if you're dying for more content, I'll be seeing you in the next one.